Hey, what's up, Castlers? Ydtd 07 here again to bring you Tournament of Champions action. But before I do, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Now let's get to the game. This was game one of two between Checkmate and 427 with white and Ydtd with black. A powerhouse matchup between a positional player versus a very conservative tactician. Let's see how this game played out. Checkmate in 427 starts out with G3, the King's Fianchetto opening. A slow but flexible move that prepares to bring the bishop to the G2 square. Castle quickly, then attack the center later. Ydtd says screw it, I'm taking the center with the pawn to E5. Pawn to C4 now changes the King's Fianchetto opening into the English opening. King's English variation, that is. Pawn to C4 takes space in the center and allows the knight to develop behind the C. You then get knight to C6, to G2, to C5, to A3, and then knight to F6. These are all developing moves right now. E3, knight to D4. On to E3, kicks the knight away to E6. B4 kicking the bishop away now to E7. Knight F3 attacks the pawn on E5. The D6 defends it. Checkmate in 427 induces a pawn break and threatens to win material by having the pawn and knight attacking Ydtd's pawn on E5 while only defended by his D6 pawn. Ydtd makes the best move possible and takes the attacking pawn on D4. 427 recaptures with his knight. Equal trade. Kingside castle from Ydtd. Then you get knight to B3, rook to B8, bishop B2, pawn to B6, pawn to F4, pawn to H6, pawn to F5 kicks the knight away to G5, revealing a discovered attack from Ydtd's bishop on the F5 pawn. H4 ignores the attack and threatens the knight on G5. Knight to H7 from Ydtd. 427 then defends his pawn with knight to D4. Bishop to D7, G4. Ydtd plays pawn to C5, attacking the knight on B4. Knight C6, forking the rook and the queen. Ydtd takes the attacking knight with his bishop. 7 recaptures with his bishop, equal trade. E7, Ydtd attacking the H4 pawn twice while it's only defended once. 7 solves this problem by pushing his pawn to G5. H takes G5 was a mistake by Ydtd, even though he will go up in the exchange. The engine thought knight E5 was the best move, hitting the unguarded pawn on C4 and threatening the bishop on C6. But anyway, let's go back to H takes G5. After H takes G5 was played, 427 played H takes G5, and then bishop takes G5 wins Ydtd a pawn. E4. Bishop takes E3 is a huge mistake from Ydtd because it allows for a forced checkmate in 14 moves, as the evaluation bar shows with the line. Queen H5, bishop H6, bishop takes G7, queen takes G5, knight takes G5, rook E8 check, king D1, knight takes G5, bishop takes E6, rook E1 check, king takes E1, knight E5, queen takes G5 check, knight D6, F takes G6, rook E8 check, king F1, rook F8, E takes F7 check, king takes F7, queen F4 check, king G6, rook G1 check, king H7, rook G7 check, king H8, and queen takes F8 checkmate. Let's see what actually happened. Let's get back to bishop takes E3 here. So after bishop takes E3, you get queen to H5, creating a checkmate threat with the queen and rook bearing down on the H7 square. Bishop H6 blocks the threat. Bishop Takes G7 continues the checkmate threat. E8 from Ydtd. Queen takes H6. 427 takes the bishop and keeps the heat on Ydtd. This is just a losing position right now as the eval bar is saying mate in 7 moves. Ydtd trying for a Hail Mary by swiping the knight on e4 with the check on the king. 427 calmly eliminates the threat with bishop takes e4. Knight d to f6 temporarily prevents a checkmate on the h7 square. 427 removes the defender of that square with bishop takes f6. Queen takes f6, Ydtd recaptures, hitting the rook on a1 and thinking of a queen trade to alleviate a lot of the tension in the household. But 427 says there'll be none of that, just taking the knight and checking the king in the process. King to f8, Ydtd running for his life. 427 says you can run, but you can't hide with queen h8 check attacking the king and hitting the queen at the same time. Even if Ydtd takes the queen, 427 would recapture with his rook, checking and skewering the king, losing his other rook in the process. The writing was on the wall for Ydtd. Then after move 29, he gracefully bowed out. So checkmate and 427 wins game 1. We will have to see what transpires in game 2 of this 2-game matchup in the Tournament of Champions 2022. Again, checkmate and 427 almost has this tournament wrapped up. It's just checkmate and 427 and Ydtd vying for first place, as all others have been eliminated mathematically. So that will do it for this podcast this evening. I'm Ydtd7 saying stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.